The film industry is starting to recognize the value of video games, just how big that fandom is, and leaning more and more towards video game adaptations, be it live action or animation, and have seen some great successes on that front. The Last of Us, the HBO show, set new records for the platform. The Mario movie set all kinds of records when it comes to animation films. The Sonic movie did really well. Witcher set new records for Netflix. Arcane, Cyberpunk, Detective Pikachu, Castlevania. Plenty of good stuff out there as far as video game adaptations are concerned. It goes to highlight that if you do the source material justice and output just something entertaining or something with substance, people will tune in because video games have a lot to offer narratively or just as a fun experience visually. And so it's interesting to see how much the film industry and Hollywood are starting to lean towards that. And we're seeing a lot of new adaptations and projects in the works. Among them is Borderlands. You may recall that this is a project that was announced back in August of 2015. At the time, all we really knew was that it was being produced by Avi and Ari Arad. It took a while for this movie to get going, but eventually production started. They shot some stuff, and principal photography is already finished. But we haven't heard a lot about the project, and we haven't heard any development updates. And as it turns out, it may be because this movie is in development hell, or production hell, as you'd call it with movies. Over the course of years, we would see some teases and little bits of details make their way to the internet. Back in June of 2021, we saw this image of the cast donning the costume on set and taking this photograph where we got a glimpse of sort of the silhouette of these actors and their respective characters. Kevin Hart as Roland. We got Cate Blanchett as Lilith. Ariana Greenblatt as Tiny Tina. Jamie Lee Curtis as Stannis. Florian Munteanu as Krieg. And Jack Black is voicing Claptrap. And I mean, if Bowser is anything to go by when it comes to Jack Black's work in voiceover, then, I'm sure Claptrap at the very least will be entertaining. And then not long after, we got this E3 presentation where they showed us the cast and the respective characters, and that was also the event where we got this rather awkward footage of Randy Pitchford visiting Kevin Hart's trailer, and Kevin Hart looks just so thrown off by this. This seems very impromptu, and I don't know, this was just a very bizarre way of teasing the movie. The likes to dislikes ratio of this Gearbox E3 2021 showcase, I think, speaks for itself. Kevin Hart was just as confused as the audience was. But yeah, they didn't show much at the time, so people were hoping that once a trailer comes out, we'll be impressed enough to look forward to this. But then we started to get some hints that there's a lot of reshuffling happening behind the scenes, and after that tease, we hadn't heard anything about the movie for 2 years, which doesn't tend to be a good sign. In January of 2023, it was reported that Tim Miller, who directed Terminator, Dark Fate, and Deadpool, would conduct additional photography for Borderlands film. Eli Roth still involved, but Tim Miller, for some reason, came in and shot some additional scenes. It's one of those unusual situations where it indicates that there is trouble in paradise. When news surrounding a movie's production goes that quiet and suddenly new directors are stepping in and whatnot, it just doesn't inspire confidence. But you know what does inspire confidence? The sponsor of today's video, Skillshare, a platform dedicated to forging a community of experts and learners. As a content creator, voice actor, and artist with myriad pursuits, the ability to quickly access useful classes to accelerate my proficiency with certain key skills is really important to me, and Skillshare has been a really convenient hub for me to absorb that type of knowledge. For example, I've wanted to expand my expertise with creative digital programs like Adobe Photoshop and After Effects, get better at vocal techniques like singing, and even learn instruments like the guitar, and there are so many great classes that are readily accessible here for these disciplines. There seems to be a class for just about anyone and anything, and the video classes I've discovered have all been pretty useful and have genuinely enhanced my progress in developing my desired skills. Beyond that, Skillshare also features classes that help optimize general aspects of your career, including classes that guide you on how to find confidence in your creativity, how to become more productive and better at time management, or how to start a business. It's a genuinely useful library of knowledge and insight that could develop your skills and help propel your career no matter what your goals and aspirations are. And by using my link, the first 1,000 people to join will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare that will allow you to give it a test drive. You'll find my link in the description box and comment section below if you want to take advantage of this offer. But anyway, that finally brings us to earlier this month, July of 2023, when World of Real reported that Eli Roth's Borderlands is currently in post-production hell. Now, here's something that I didn't know for some reason until today, until the recording of this video. The screenplay was co-written with Craig Mazin. Craig Mazin, for those who don't know, is the showrunner behind the critically acclaimed Chernobyl show on HBO, which is freaking awesome and I'd recommend it. And he also showran The Last of Us on HBO, which is one of the most critically acclaimed video game adaptations and also just a highly successful show on HBO when it comes to viewership. Again, it broke records. So Craig Mazin is a pretty prominent figure when it comes to video game adaptations and just in the landscape of TV shows. This article also highlights that before Tim Miller stepped in to do additional reshoots for Borderlands happened in early summer of 2022 with Gary Ross hired for rewrites. And then further lending credence to troubled development is the fact that the Borderlands movie was test screened in November, and that led to Lionsgate calling for more work to be done on the film. Hence the reshoots. This is starting to feel like a Justice League situation where the original vision was Zack Snyder's, but then Joss Whedon stepped in because of circumstances surrounding Zack Snyder's life. And then that whole vision got mucked up, and you can tell that this movie was stitched together with two different visions, and the change in direction just yielded a worse movie. The Snyder Cut eventually did come out, and, people have their opinions about that, but it actually feels like what the movie was originally intended to be. And, this is starting to feel like there are too many cooks in the kitchen, too many different directors and writers even. You can see right here that other writers who were hired to work on the film include Aaron Berg, Oren Uziel, Jewel Taylor, Tony Rettenmeier, Zach Alkowicz, Chris Bremer, and Sam Levinson. This Borderlands movie is based off of the first movie. There's not a whole lot in terms of huge narrative substance. This is certainly not Last of Us levels of nuance. It's freaking Borderlands 1 story. And the fact that they're bringing in so many writers to try to, make this movie work is also just not a good sign. But here is the rub. This is where things get kind of oof. So Craig Mazin, again, very prominent figure in the TV shows and film landscape now, especially after Chernobyl and The Last of Us HBO show. Him co-writing the movie with Eli Roth gave this movie some credibility. It gave people confidence that maybe a decent movie with a good enough script for what Borderlands is could come out of this. But we're now getting word that one of the co-writers, original screenwriter Craig Mazin, has officially removed his name from the project. He'll go under the pseudonym Joe Crombie. Mazin clearly doesn't want his name attached to this movie. And you can actually go to the official WGAW, or Writers Guild of America West website, and look at the feature credit for Borderlands, and it lists Eli Roth and Joe Crombie, who is actually, in fact, Craig Mazin. So this isn't just some rumor. We can see it on display. This is not Craig Mazin going, all right, my job's done. I'm going to step out of this project. The rest is up to you guys. It's him actively going out of his way to be like, do not include my name as part of this project. He doesn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. What does that say about this movie? Well, obviously we don't know yet, but it can't be anything good. Keep in mind that Craig Mazin does have a background in comedic films. He was involved in some of the Scary movies, believe it or not. And so I'm very curious as to why Craig Mazin decided to back out. Is the state of the film just so abysmal that he knows what a wreck this is going to be and he doesn't want to be anywhere near this thing? That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from this. Obviously, there's no official explanation, but usually when a writer or anyone involved in production at a high level like Craig Mazin does something like this where he actively wants his name removed, That's never for a good reason. Optics surrounding this film also weren't helped by the fact that back in January of 2023, we saw some photos of Cate Blanchett rocking the orange hair of her character, the oh so iconic Lilith. Now, this is just a photo. Movies tend to find ways to make everything look better and a lot more cinematic, so it's hard to judge how she's going to look in the film once the movie comes together. So I don't think there's a good way to judge whether she fits the role and whatever. But yeah, it just this is what Lilith looks like in game, and then this is what she looks like just from photos during production. People are like, I don't know, we'll see. But it didn't strike great confidence in people's anticipation for this movie. And then there's the release window of this movie, which is currently rumored to be 2024, based on what one of the actors, Jamie Lee Curtis, who, as I previously mentioned, will be playing Tannis in this movie, said during an interview with Entertainment Weekly. You can see right here that Yahoo News reported on this, and this was literally just yesterday, a day or two ago, as of the recording of this video. This is what she said in regards to Borderlands. That was filmed during COVID in Budapest, and I believe it is being released next year. Now, there's no official release window or release date, but, this is something. 2024 seems like a potentially likely prospect, given that we haven't seen a trailer yet, we haven't heard anything, so it sounds like the movie is at least a year away, unless the reported production hell delays the movie even further. Do keep in mind that principal photography for the Borderlands movie was done back in June of 2021 before the reshoot, so this is just a long production cycle for a movie like this. This movie should have come out by now had things been going smooth, had this production been smooth sailing. But the fact that it's taking so long for this to come together, the fact that we might have to wait another year, and the fact that we're seeing articles and reports like this one, and the fact that Craig Mazin himself said, I am out, don't even put my name in here, despite his contribution to this movie, just gives me all of the bad feelings. Just makes me think that this movie could wind up being a potential disaster, but I hope not. That's just the vibe I'm getting. We'll see how the trailer pans out. Maybe in the end, they'll manage to pull it together with the reshoots and whatnot and manage to make a cohesive product. But it's Craig Mazin specifically, and the way he exited and the way he wanted his name removed, that's where I'm like, wow. Development issues can happen, production issues can happen, but when one of the co-writers goes as far as this, to want to use a pseudonym, as to not be associated with this project, like there is a certain kind of disdain or a certain regret that emanates from Craig Mazin to go this far, which makes me think that maybe we should brace ourselves for a movie that may not have the best results. I hope I'm wrong, though. We'll see. Hopefully the trailer will just give us some hope. And hopefully when the final movie comes out, it won't be as bad as the news cycle here makes it out to be. But we'll see. In the meantime, though, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the current state of the Borderlands movie, and how all of these latest reports come across to you, whether you think Borderlands could turn out good in the end, or do you think that all of this indicates that it's doomed to fail. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.